Mom, help. I'm feeling really sick with a high fever. While I was visiting my parents to take care of my mom, I got a distress call from my 6-year-old daughter. What? Dad isn't there. I wanted to ask my husband, who should have been with her, about our daughter's condition. Dad's got a fever of 104 degrees. He's not getting out of bed. To my surprise, he was also down with a fever. I quickly explained the situation to my mom, jumped into the car, and rushed back home. However, when I got home, there was no sign of my husband, who should have been asleep. And there, I was met with an unbelievable truth beyond my imagination. I'm Scarlett, 33 years old, living with my husband, Zion, who's the same age, and our 6-year-old daughter, Luna. I work from home prioritizing childcare. My husband, Zion, introduced me to a friend who said we'd get along great, and I did. We both loved gaming, which made us click instantly, leading to marriage. He's a diligent person and loves cooking, often helping around the house. Plus, ever since our daughter was born, he's been completely smitten with her, forgetting his once beloved games. Luna loves her dad so much that she's happy to go to the park with him even when I'm not around. Watching their close bond always brought a smile to my face. However, around the time Luna turned 5, Zion started acting differently. While he still took care of our daughter and did chores, he seemed absent-minded, often not really listening when spoken to. And then, this happened. Scarlett's working from home today, right? I'll take Luna to the park. Thanks. That helps. He left with our daughter in the car. 2 hours later, when I finished work earlier than expected, I went to the park, but they were nowhere to be found. I called Zion multiple times, but I couldn't reach him. Eventually, they came back as if nothing had happened. Luna, where were you and what were you doing? We went for a drive. I waited in the car the whole time watching cartoons while Dad was busy. I was shocked not only because Zion had changed plans without telling me but also for making Luna wait in the car for so long. Hey Zion, what were you thinking? Well, on our way to the park, I got called into work suddenly. So, we went for a drive instead. His explanation seemed fishy. Although I felt a bit uneasy about his behavior, I let it slide since our daughter was safe and didn't press further. However, Zion's suspicious actions didn't end there. One day, when he was looking at his phone in the living room, he quickly hid the screen when I casually approached him. What's wrong? Why are you so jumpy? It was just a joke, but he got defensive and angry and said, nothing. Something's definitely different. Could he be cheating? Such thoughts crossed my mind, but our conversations remained the same, and I still felt his love, so I dismissed those suspicions. It's troubling. My usually kind husband started raising his voice when anything bothered him. On top of that, he began going out more on weekends, saying he was busy with work. Working again this weekend? Yes, sorry. I used to take weekends off because of our little one. But now that she's 6, I need to make up for lost time. So, a coworker had been covering for his job on weekends because of our young daughter. It made sense when I thought about it, although I had felt uneasy about his changes. One day, I got a call that my mom had fallen at home and hurt her back. She'd act quickly to avoid worrying us. Unable to wait, I consulted my husband. "We're fine here, so go stay with your mom for a while. I'll be okay with Dad here." So, I ended up going back to my parents' place until my mom could move around on her own. When I called my daughter that night, her voice said, "Don't worry, Mom," gave me a huge sense of relief. Luckily, there was nothing wrong with my mother's bones, and she'd be fine as long as she rested. She could come home in about a week. However, by the next evening, Luna seemed to have lost her previous energy. "Dad's here, so I'm okay." Cough, cough. "Are you catching a cold, Luna? Tell Dad and get under the covers to stay warm." "Okay, got it." She still seemed lively, but her cough worried me a bit. Then, the next day around 3 p.m., I was pondering that when my daughter called. Guess what? Luna has a fever of 40 degrees. And on top of that, even my husband, Zion, has a 40-degree fever and is knocked out. When I filled my mom in on the situation over the phone, she said, "I'm getting better now, so you better head home right now," and gave me a little push. So, I quickly hopped into my car and raced home. When I finally got there and burst into my daughter's room, there was Luna, with a bright red face, breathing heavily. "Sorry I'm late. You're gonna be okay." Even though she was suffering from a fever, she noticed me and gave a weak nod. Seeing her in such a pitiful state made me choke back tears. After making sure Luna was okay for the time being, I decided to check on Zion. My daughter said he should be down with a fever too. Heading to our bedroom, I noticed the blankets were oddly puffed up. When I pulled back the covers, I found pillows lined up to make it look like someone was sleeping there. Luna must have thought Zion was sleeping. If that's the case, where did he go? Scarlett couldn't find Zion anywhere in the house. It felt as if he'd vanished like a fox. Though I felt strange in my gut, my daughter was my top priority. Ignoring my bad thoughts, I rushed her to the hospital. Luckily, the doctor said she wasn't seriously ill and sent us home with fever reducers and cold medicine. I'm glad Mom's back. I'm not going anywhere else, so rest and get some sleep. Luna squeezed my hand, looking relieved, and gave me a smile. I felt deeply relieved that she was okay. Once I made sure my daughter was peacefully asleep, I started looking into Zion's whereabouts again. I tried calling his phone, but predictably, it went straight to voicemail. While searching his room for clues, I found a piece of paper tossed carelessly aside. It was a bank statement showing he'd withdrawn roughly $5,000. What's this? Isn't he using this for online gaming? Worse, that account was meant to save money for our daughter's future. Half of the withdrawn amount had been paid to a gaming company. I was shocked he'd dip into our child's savings for his hobby, and leaving our sick daughter behind was unforgivable. And what did he use the other half of the $5,000 for? I opened Zion's computer to find he'd been playing online slots. Could he have started gambling real money after getting bored with online gaming? As I pondered this unexpected turn of events, a memory flashed in my mind. The next morning, I decided to ask my daughter, who was feeling better. "Hey, was this the kind of place you went on a drive with Daddy?" I quickly showed her a sign with the words on it. Yes. It said casino. Just as I suspected. I remembered my daughter saying, "Pa, Chi, I forgot," when Zion took her to the park for a drive. He must have been gambling while making her wait in the car. With this, all of Zion's suspicious actions made sense. He must have hidden his phone screen out of fear of being caught up in his gaming. His overtime work was probably just an excuse to wander around and lie to his family. Leaving our sick daughter in the car for hours, putting her in danger twice, was unacceptable. I won't forgive this. I'll make him pay. I vowed revenge against my husband. First, I immediately contacted a friend who worked with Zion to confirm his overtime claims. As I suspected, the company policy was to encourage everyone to take weekends off. My friend reluctantly informed me that Zion had requested a day off due to our daughter's illness, but he was absent without notice today. This had become an issue within the company. As I suspected, he's been playing around freely. That night, I waited with frustration beside my still feverish daughter for Zion, but he never came home. Searching further, I found several loan cards from consumer finance companies in Zion's suit pocket. Unbelievable. He's not only drained our daughter's savings, but he's also in debt. My trust in Zion hit rock bottom, and my anger was unstoppable. Unaware of all this, Zion came home cheerfully that night. He said cheerfully, "Hey Luna, it's Daddy," and came into the living room. And he was surprised to see me. I wanted to confront him right then and there, but I didn't want my daughter to see me like that, so I forced myself to stay calm. "My mother is fine now, so I'm back." He visibly relaxed at my gentle tone. "Ha, I know everything. You'll see soon." I put my daughter to bed as usual and returned to the living room where Zion was lounging on the couch, watching TV. Seeing him, my frustration peaked, and I approached him, standing firm. "Where were you, leaving Luna suffering with a high fever?" I spoke as if my voice was chillingly low and reflecting my emotions. Zion seemed taken aback by my intensity, almost slipping off the sofa. Though he seemed intent on playing it cool, I wasn't having any of it. "What were you thinking? What if something happened to Luna?" "Kids get fevers, it's normal. Why are you making such a fuss?" He was upset that he didn't try to butter up, and his lack of concern only fueled my anger further. Then there's no need for restraint on my end either. This is the beginning of a serious investigation. What's this all about? I slammed the bank statement in front of him, questioning what he spent such a large sum on, and he clearly didn't like it. "It's just some fun money. Besides, it's money I earned, so what's the problem? That was money we've been saving bit by bit for Luna's future. Give it back now." "I don't care about that. We'll just save up again." Even mentioning our daughter didn't bring any remorse from him. So, I gave him my next card. "And what's this? You borrowed money, didn't you?" My husband, presented with a consumer finance card, continued to sweat profusely but didn't back down. "Just borrowed a little. I'll pay it back soon." I kept pressing, but he wouldn't confess, so I decided to cut to the chase. "I've heard from someone who's seen you at the arcade or casino parlors. I know you've been hanging out there." Clearly, he hadn't expected to be found out. His eyes started to dart around. "And I've heard you've been taking weekends off too. You've deceived me." Accused like that, he seemed at a loss for words and clicked his tongue in annoyance. At this point, any affection or sympathy I had for him was completely gone. "I can't be with you anymore. Let's get a divorce." "Fine, whatever, we can divorce." Zion agreed to the divorce without much fuss, saying, "Bring it on." So, the divorce is finalized. "Oh, by the way, didn't you skip work without permission yesterday?" How did you know?" "It was just one time. Skipping work and goofing off. The company knows all about it. You can't get away with bad behavior." With that, his face turned pale in an instant. "And not taking care of our sick daughter. I've reported that to your company too." Suddenly, his confident demeanor disappeared, replaced by tears as he clung to me. "Can't you tell them it was a mistake? Please." At this point, his audacity to ask for help was just too much. I looked down at him coldly, and he shamelessly started to kneel. "Please, don't divorce me. I'll quit gambling and gaming. I'll stop hanging out. I can't be with someone who risks our child's life not once, but twice." "Don't say that." Even though he pleaded, I felt disgusted. I looked straight at him and said firmly, "We're definitely getting a divorce. And I'll be asking for substantial compensation, so brace yourself. That's not fair." Realizing there was no turning back from my determination, he broke down in tears. A month later, the divorce was finalized, and I claimed $35,000 in damages, including the depleted savings intended for Luna. Zion left his job because word got out about him leaving our sick child to go out and play. It was also discovered he had $3 million in debts from consumer loans. Now, I've heard he's working day and night in manual labor to repay his debts and compensation. Luna and I started anew near my parents' place. Her smiles are more frequent now, and I truly believe